What's up, guys? Coach Gaglione here. If it's your first time stopping by, I'm Coach Gaglione. I've been involved with powerlifting and strength coaching for over 19 years, and this is another edition of Gags Garage Gym Reviews. So on this particular day, I just wanted to kind of showcase some lower body training that I like to do in terms of accessory work, and just kind of showcases some options, potentially if you're a home gym owner, potentially if you have a garage gym, just some things that may be, pros and cons. So one of those things that's very unique, and I know one of the companies I'd love to upgrade and try at some point is, I think it's GMWD is the brand. But anyways, this is a multi-hip machine. I first learned about this from Doug Brignoli. And essentially what it allows you to do is train your hip, train hip extension, hip flexion, abduction. So essentially it allows you to train your hips 4 different ways. You're going to work your glutes, inner thighs, hip flexors, outer thighs. But for me, reverse lunges can be very challenging to load. Any type of squatting position, glute bridge, you're going to load your spine or your pelvis. So this essentially just loads your femur, which makes it very unique. So this is essentially what a kickback on steroids, if you will. But it's one of my favorite assistance exercises, isolation movements for the glutes, because if you're like me, you're really heavily powerlifting focused for many years. I've squatted 800 pounds in 6 weight classes. I've deadlifted 595 or more in 6 weight classes. And it's just really good for me to just work my glutes heavily and not load my spine. Now, in terms of this inner thigh move, I really like it because it very mimics the positions that your inner thigh is going to need to be your adductors. It's often a neglected muscle, and essentially when you're doing a sumo deadlift, this is exactly what you're going to need to do. You need to essentially adduct the hip as you extend the hip, which is exactly what's happening here. So it's essentially kind of training. So for injury prevention, and if you're a wide stance squatter or sumo deadlifter, again, I think that doing some direct, a lot of people just kind of resort to Copenhagen planks, and at a certain point you really can't progress. You can't really progress the weight. You really can't progress. It's fine to do, but it's just you're not going to really get a good overload stimulus from it. So in terms of like a home gym setting, I'd say like this versus having a dedicated inner outer thigh machine is going to take up a lot of space. This is a fairly small footprint. You could do calf raises on it as well. I'm really excited to try out the GMW model at some point. Again, this is like a Facebook Marketplace find. It gets the job done. It's not as good as like a cable stack, but for me, just for kind of overall like hip and lower back health, it's something that I brought all the way from Delaware, from New York, even though it's kind of, even the machine's about to fall apart and all this stuff. And you can kind of see another kind of thing I want to showcase with you guys as well, is just strategically kind of using certain plates. You can kind of see I have a bunch of 25s on here versus bigger plates. So just in terms of switching weights and stuff, I try to strategically put a certain amount of weight on, which is either a working weight or like a good like last warm up. And because ultimately, as a family man, as a coach, again, I'm a coach first, lifter second, content creator third. So coach first, competitor second, content creator third. So time is valuable. I love training, but I can't spend as much time in the gym anymore. So having kind of things where I have a kind of preset loads on there. Other kind of options I think can be good. Now, again, if you only have the ability to kind of have one bench in your garage gym, this may or may not be the best choice if you're like trying to bench 300, 400, 500 plus pounds. But if you're someone that's maybe not going to be pressing a crazy amount of weight, benches like this this is a Marcy bench. It's a pretty good option. You'll see I redneck rig some things onto the bar. So I have like the Hulsa, I think it's the Hulsa pad for the leg extensions. I could do the same thing for the leg curl, but I didn't really feel it need to because again, the lying leg curl is more of like kind of a mid-range kind of movement anyway. And I'm okay with that. I'm getting a lot of stretch position work with RDLs and things like that. So again, I'm okay with kind of working a little bit more of the short position in the deadlift, and you'll kind of see. So I like this, adding in the Hulsa pad makes a lot of sense. And again, this feels really good, especially something like this. I might opt for single leg extensions as well, just so I don't have to load as much weight. But it's a really good way to kind of do some short position quad work, get some knee health. But again, I'm still getting a good range of motion with the extra padding there. So whether it be warming up before a bodybuilding type workout or just at the end of a squat workout where you're getting more stretch position work. And again, I'm not trying to load my spine. That's kind of going to be a common theme As we get older, we're trying to limit axial load a little bit, especially if you do a ton of powerlifting training. I think, again, there's a lot of stuff you can do with the barbell, but it's definitely important. So this is something, again, people like want to try to do sissy squats and stuff. I'm not really sure what brand of bench this is. I'll kind of show you some other stuff if I do this. But essentially, it's a sit-up bench, but it also can be used as an incline or decline bench. It also folds up if you want to store it away. But I've been so you can use it for sit-ups, hip flexor work, and quad work. So essentially, I'm trying to do like a body weight leg extension. Again, the more kind of open your hip is on the way down, so if you were able to like completely flex your hip, it would be a crazy rectus femoris exercise. I'm not strong enough to do that, so I have to kind of use a partial amount of body weight. But again, the more open your hip angle is, but essentially due to frictional forces and things like that, I'm essentially trying to drive my shin into the pad. So that's a really good kind of superset here where you can kind of do sissy squat and then go right into a leg extension. So this is a gear fit. I also have a gear fit bench, which I'll show you on an upper body day, which I really like the thickness of the pad. And but this gear fit, it can be really good if you need to store. So this is not attached, but essentially you could kind of put this on any bench, and you can kind of see with the angle of the lever, you're going to get a little bit more mid-range work and a little bit more. So again, I don't really think it's that important, to be honest, because if you're doing a ton of deep squatting, if you're doing hack squats, leg presses, you'll see belt squats in a second, you're getting a lot of short position, stretch position work. So I think that it's sometimes can be overkill. I don't really like, it's a little bit unstable for this one with the leg curl, but again, you get a little bit more of a challenge in the stretch position. So I think this is a good option for leg extensions if you want to be able to kind of tuck it away. It also has a pin if you want to do upper body work as well, but again, I don't think it's going to be a great option for that. And this would be good. This would also be a really good machine for length and partials. So if I had to have a standalone unit for leg extension, leg curl, I would have something like this. Again, this particular, it's a Sport or Spart. It's okay. But as far as, I like it. I don't really like it as much for leg extensions. I prefer the Gear for Fit for the leg extension. It's also kind of feels a little bit, the bottom pad's a little bit warped. It doesn't feel as much of an issue with the leg curl. So I really like this one more for seated leg curls. I don't really like it as much for leg extensions. Again, there's stuff that you can kind of do on the side to kind of adjust the lever arms and stuff like that. But again, I don't think there's anything wrong with doing a short position, short challenge leg extension. I think people kind of nerd out on some of that stuff a little bit too much. I think again, use a leg extension for what it is. It's a short position exercise. It's an isolation movement. It's a good complement to your squat because you're not changing the angle of your hip. I also kind of wanted to show you kind of how I get into this, because if you have really big legs like me, maybe you don't have 800-pound squatting legs, but maybe you're a bigger guy and you have trouble. So I'll kind of start to kind of get the top part in. And this is where like a Titan leg curl is a little bit easier to get into, I think, for bigger guys, because it's already kind of attached. But this feels very secure and stable. If you want to get a little bit more stretch position, you can kind of lean into it. It's hard to stabilize with this model, but usually I'll just kind of like lean back and work a little bit more, lengthened and mid-range. It's not quite fully stretched, but for whatever reason, this doesn't feel too bad as far as the bottom part being warped. So if you want a standalone leg curl, leg extension, I think having a seat. Some people just prefer lying, but in terms of taking up square footage in your gym, this is going to be a more compact unit. So those are things to consider when you're looking for a leg curl and leg extension. So this is fine. Don't really like it. It wouldn't, if I had to kind of buy it over, I probably wouldn't buy this again. But gets the job done. So next up, I wanted to kind of show you a sunny rack. If you are someone that's not squatting a ton of weight, this could be a good option. I have 3 different kind of setups here. I have my safety spotter arms set up for floor press. I have a bench press setup, as well as a little bit of a jerry-rigged monolith setup, which I don't recommend you do. But anyways, you can see I'm kind of using the dip bars here, getting a really good stretch. I think everyone should have these wedges. You'll see some sissy squats later on in the video. But you could do a lot of ankle work, whether it be for mobility or calf training. If you have access to a safety squat bar that is actually balanced. not like the squat saddle. So, you know, again, tib work and calf work's good. I think good as fillers or warm up. I wouldn't spend a ton of time on these things. I didn't do any calf work on the Squat Max MD on this day, but Squat Max MD can work really well if you want to do some loaded calves. But I think everyone should have a pair of wedges. I got these off Amazon. These are fine. I don't think you need to have super expensive wedges. Again, 800-pound squatter. I don't need a steel wedge. You probably don't need a steel wedge either. Just my 2 cents. And I do think something like ab straps can be really effective. I think that for decompression, you're also getting some lower trap work in here, hip flexor work. I think this is kind of a good movement to complement. It basically is the reverse action of a squat. So you're going to be getting decompression. So essentially you're getting tension forces versus compression forces on your spine. And again, you're kind of working on posterior tilting your pelvis, getting out of lower back extension, which I think can be good in my opinion. So kind of balancing kind of traction-based and compression-based exercises is generally a good idea, and you can kind of see. So even just working on pelvic tilts, because again, as powerlifters, we're always arching, we're always kind of under compression, we're always under axial load. These are some good things to kind of add in the training. So I think some sort of ab strap can be good. My favorite ones are Spud. These are a perfect pull-up. These are okay. Gets the job done. Spud is the favorite kind of ab strap that I like to use. So I just want to kind of show you some different options in terms of Nordic curls, glute ham raises, and things like that, depending on like what you want to do. So this is kind of a natural glute ham pad. It's from Legend Fitness. It's really overpriced. I actually really like it as a hip thrust pad more than anything else, but I just wanted to kind of show you, you know, before Nordics were all the rage, we used to call these natural hamstring curls, and then we did a lot of eccentric work on them. But I really like it as a hip thrust pad. You could also use it for like elevating your feet for side planks, push-ups, and things like that. I really love a glute ham raise. It was one of my staples to help really build my squat early on in training. I don't really use it as much anymore, but in my opinion, I think the glute ham raise is a much more useful exercise than a Nordic curl. I think most people are not going to be able to do Nordic curl as well. And I think that there's a lot more benefit to doing concentric movements for sports. And I think a lot of people kind of mess up their hamstrings trying to progress Nordics too fast, too soon. I think the same thing with Nordics and this like kind of just generally knees over toes training. I think people like tend to overdo the stretch position, overdo some of the really kind of challenging end range stuff, stretch bias stuff. And the glute ham raise is going to allow your knees to kind of come under the pad a little bit, so it's going to make it a little bit easier. So again, if you do have room for it, I do think that a glute ham raise is superior to doing Nordic curls for 99% of people. Again, if you're a freak athlete, and I also think that freak athlete, I think if something does like 10 things, it's probably not going to do 10 things very well. I think if you're going to get a combo machine, and you'll see one in a second, I think that get something that maybe does 1 or 2 things really well. And if something does 10 things, it's probably a marketing gimmick, in my opinion. And the other thing is you got to understand, are you going to actually like adjust these things? Are you actually going to, so again, a lot of times with the home gym, it's if you have to like jerry rig, you have to have a really complicated setup, you're probably not going to do it. You're probably not going to do it all the time. So I think things that are kind of you want to eliminate friction as a home gym owner, as a garage gym owner. So if things have a lot of setup time, you even see for me, I have preloaded chains. I have like reverse bands available for, so even something like I prefer conjugate, which a lot of people would think is more complicated, I still tend to do things, set up things ahead of time that eliminate friction. So if I have 80 pounds of chain set up for a squat, all I got to do is throw it on there. If I have 40 pounds of chain set up for a bench, all I got to do is put it on the bar. I don't have to fiddle with the height. I don't have to fiddle with counting the lengths and getting a measuring tape out. And then you can see I just did some sissy squats there. So using the dip handles. I also wanted to showcase for garage gym and home gym owners, I don't think if I had to do things over again, I do think that banded deadlifts are great, but if you're not a conjugate trainer, Westside disciple, so even for myself, I think I get more out of doing chain work than bands at this stage in my career. Just get the mats, just get the deadlift mats. You don't need the deadlift platforms. If you're not going to be doing banded deadlifts, look how easy it was to set up, going from block pulls to deficits to takes like less than 30 seconds. So you want to, speed is key. Speed of setup is king when it comes to garage gym training. So I would just double mat it. These mats are amazing. you could do. And now you have block pulls, deficits. Super easy setup. So you have a 1.5 inch block pull, you have a 1.5 inch deficit. Now you have 3 deadlift variations that you can kind of do. So you could do like Dan Green and do your deadlift party. So that's just my 2 cents in terms of you want to, and then, you know, you could use mats for other things like bench press and step ups and calf raises and all sorts of things. So this is a Nord stick bench. I think, again, it does a few things really well, but I think it does Nordics really well, and it's a really good back extension. And the thing that I really like about it, if you want to do heavy back extensions, at the time of this recording, I weigh 275 pounds. This is like an additional probably 70 pounds or so of weight. I just want to kind of show you how easy it is to kind of adjust. So I think if you're going to do 45-degree back extensions and Nordics in your training, there's other stuff you could do with it. But I think it does those 2 things very exceptionally well. So I would advise you, and the padding is really good. The quality and the customer service was great. Just want to kind of show you, I Frankensteined a Titan. I don't really like the Titan bench by itself, but I kind of use an old Mike Boyle Bulgarian, they used to call them rear elevated split squat or Bulgarian squat pads. So having that kind of, Frankenstein together, this is super stable and really good. The only downside is if you're using a barbell, it's just not super tall. So that's where if you're going to do loaded, the Nord stick kind of wins on that. T-bell is a really good thing that you could do. You could do kettlebell swings with it. You could do straddle lifts. I'm doing a stiff-legged wide stance deadlift, aka a Ukrainian deadlift. A good assistance exercise for sumo deadlifters and just deadlifters in general. Going to work your glutes, lower back, inner thigh. And it's going to just kind of show, I have Sorenex utility blocks. There's a lot of stuff that you'll kind of see you could do with those. And I'm using kind of a biceps curl preacher pad in combination with the utility blocks. Again, fast setup time. That is the key to home gym and garage gym training. So I can kind of cycle through these exercises. And then with the utility blocks, you can kind of also do like your ATG if you're into doing Peterson step ups and step downs and things of that nature. Lots of great stuff there. So I think that's basically it for lower body. I'll kind of go through like if you think you should use a squat rack or a combo rack or a monolift and those sorts of things. Spoiler alert, I think you should just do a power rack in a home gym, but I'll kind of go over different benches and stuff. But the next video will probably be like more of an upper body. And if you have the room for it, I think that in terms of if you're going to get like a leg press hack squat combo, or I think getting a squat max would be a better idea. You could do good mornings with a front squat harness. You could do RDLs, Ukrainian deadlifts, squats, squat marching, and chest supported rows. Again, I don't do the glute bridges just because I think I don't have the option to do it, and also, but if you're really into hip thrust, it has a hip thrust capability as well. And you can kind of see I have a couple of BC blocks, so I can get on and off really quickly. And I want to show you the Black Widow attachment. So one of the only thing I don't really like, and one of the things I like versus one of the more expensive models, like a wedding model, outside of like the physics and all that, the wedding model is the fastest to kind of set up if you're going between groups and just kind of loading things. So having the single loading pin can be annoying if you don't have like hand grip plates, but I just wanted to kind of show you the Black Widow attachment. So what I would suggest, and it's to save time, is you keep your warm-up weight just on there the whole time, and then you can kind of add in like either 25s or 35s. I have like the close stance riser. I don't even think they make it like this anymore. So if I had to go really heavy and load a bunch of weight, I'd have to take the close stance riser off so it would fit, but just so you can kind of see how fast it is to adjust the weight. So I highlighted Dean's a Long Island guy. He's a New York guy. He's I joked that I kind of ordered from him before he was famous, but he does really good work. So see guys like Luck Jim and other people shouting him out, which is great. So he does really good stuff, and this Black Widow weight kind of adapter is a great piece. So just wanted to kind of show you. But Squat MD is kind of my top pick for if you're a garage or home gym in terms of like if you want to do any sort of quad training that's non-spinally loaded, as well as glute and hamstring training. It's a little bit more traction based. So it's my favorite belt squat machine. It is a little bit cumbersome to set up the weight, but with Black Widow's weight attachment, I think it's a home run. And it's something I've used with a lot of success. It helped me on my journey to like an 800-pound squat in 6 different weight classes helps keep me healthy, allows me to get more volume and make my legs nice, thick, and juicy. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, stay strong. I'll see you soon.